safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Jo here at SportsGrid. It's time for Puck with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV. Excited for today's games. We've got 7 games out there on the ice, and hopefully you cashed some of those overtime bets with me yesterday, as well as taking the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks able to pull off their win in their 10th game of the season. Great to see. It was incredible. If you played those line combos as well that we talked about, you definitely cashed because those players got multiple points out there on the ice. So big shout out to each and every one of you. Yesterday is yesterday, and while we made some money, we got to get back into making some money today. So thanks, guys, so much for being here. I was actually shocked the Nashville Predators, Steven Stamkos, couldn't get it done versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning came out dominating right out of the gate with 2 goals. The Preds put 2 goals up in the second period. Scoreless third, but that did go to overtime, so we got the overtime bet there. We also got the overtime bet in one other. We saw Connor McDavid go out of that one game, so that was not good to see. Carolina and Vancouver, that one went to overtime. So both of those overtimes were like plus 350, plus 360. Hopefully you guys tailed me on that. But we do have more overtime bets tonight. I also am looking at player props, of course, sides, totals, and predictions, all here on SportsGrid TV. Don't forget, you guys, we are here every day at noon Eastern going over every single game on the slate. We're not going to skip one just because we don't love the matchup. I'll always give you my leans in the games, best bets, and what we're getting done. Canucks. Yeah, the Canucks and the Jets. I still can't believe the Jets. That was shocking. Now, if you grab them plus the 2.5 when they went down, they did cover that 2.5 puck line. I kind of hedged with that. If you guys joined me on Sports Rage, you would have got that. But always look for situations like that when that big favorite falls down by 3 goals. Grabbing them plus the 2.5 is a nice way to go because most of the time these teams don't get blown out by 3 unless you're watching the play and it's just really sloppy out there. So you have an open parlay with the Kraken on the road as your first wager. Okay, I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed for you, the Kraken get it done. It's going to be an interesting one versus Montreal. We'll get into that in a minute. I want to start off here with the Minnesota Wild taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, a couple storylines in this one, you guys, and I always think you have to take those storylines into your betting, especially when you look at how impactful some things were. Now, Stamkos didn't play into the storyline yesterday, being able to get a goal going back to Tampa. He was able to get those points on the board. When we look at the Minnesota Wild versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, this line, I tell you, the Wild only at minus 118. It feels like, I know it's the end of a road trip here, but it feels like the books are begging us to take the Wild. I think they should be a bigger favorite in this one. What do they know about this Pittsburgh Penguins team that has been losing? We haven't seen that step up from Sidney Crosby this season, and we really need to see it if they're going to beat a team like the Minnesota Wild with Kaprizov so phenomenally strong out there. I just don't know, with the defense and goaltending issues, how the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to stop that puck from getting into the back of their net. Now, they have sent Tristan Jarry down to the AHL to kind of build some confidence. So Nedeljkovic coming in, or Bloomquist, I'm guessing it's Nedeljkovic in this matchup. We got a total of 6.5. I think the Wild could go over that themselves from what we see now. The Pittsburgh Penguins, their defense isn't adding any resistance. The Wild are so tremendously strong offensively. That total 6.5 plus 100 to the over. It seems like, are they trapping us into this game? Are the Wild going to come out flat in this one because they've been on a long road trip here? Minus 122 if you're willing to take it under. I just can't get there with the under unless we see the storyline come into play. Marc-Andre Fleury was drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins to start his career back in 2003. He's set to retire at the end of this season, you guys, and this will be the only time he faces the Pittsburgh Penguins before he retires. So this will be his last matchup versus the team that drafted him. Can we see Marc-Andre Fleury get the shutout tonight? Now, that is not being offered over on FanDuel. I do think it's a possibility. I do think Marc-Andre Fleury stands on his head. So I want to see if there's any goalie props out right now, you guys, because they weren't listed right before we came on. And it does look like they're coming up. Marc-Andre Fleury, his save total is coming in at 27.5. Give me the over all day long. The over 27.5 coming in at -122. I love that. If you want to take that under, it's -110. I couldn't touch it. We look here at the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're averaging 31.2 shots on goal per game. And yes, the Wild have been able to lock down, holding opponents 28.5, but this is the last game of the 7-game road trip. So I do think the defense has tired legs out there. They're off a loss to the Flyers 7-5. So they're going to want to lock down defensively. I just don't see it happening. I do think the Penguins get those shots. Now, it will depend on Fleury if the Penguins have a higher scoring night, but I do think storyline-wise, we got to look at Fleury to go over. So regular number 27.5. I want to look at some alt numbers here, you guys. With the Penguins averaging, what did I say, 31.2, I would expect at least 31 shots on him tonight. 150 plus 155 for Fleury to save. 31 shots on his net. If we think it can go up all the way to 34, that's coming in at plus 340. I love the value there. The Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be so hungry to get the goals on the board. They've lost their last 5 games. This is a team that is absolutely struggling. They had a bad road trip. They weren't able to win any of the games on the road, and they lost that one at home before heading out. So it was a 4-game road trip. I just can't trust goaltending. I'm going to look at the Wild's team total. I think that's the best bet, the Wild's team total. Over 3.5 goals. Why are we getting plus money again? The over 3.5 goals coming in at plus 122. I'm buying into the fact that they can score on the Penguins. Now, Kaprizov coming in here for the goal at plus 120. I think that holds value. 2+ points, so it's plus 130. I would take it up to 3+. If I think the Wild are coming in here and they're putting up 4 goals, I think Kaprizov has part of 3 of those goals, either via assist or the goal himself. So plus 420 here for Kaprizov for 3+ points in this game. He's got 15 points in the last 8 games. And when we look at him versus the Pittsburgh Penguins in his career, he's been able to record 3 goals and 3 assists in 6 games versus them. So I think it's going to be a great one. The Penguins, they can't keep anything out of their net. Like I said, they've allowed 4 or more goals in 6 straight games. 6 straight, you guys, that the teams they faced have gone over 3.5 goals. So I like the Wild's ability with this high octane offense out there that's able to create those turnovers. And in their last 10, they've allowed 3 or more goals in those as well. So I can't trust them. Malkin, if you're looking for a player who's really stepped up for the Pittsburgh Penguins, so he's got 14 points in 10 games. So Malkin would be who I'd look at. Sid has to step up. We're actually seeing depth on this team. The bottom 6 are being able to rack up those points as well. So offensively, there's no issues here for the Penguins. It's defensively. I would look at the first period over 1.5 goals as well. Both teams to score. I think both can get on the scoreboard nice and fast. Blomqvist is confirmed in net, between Nedeljkovic and Blomqvist. Both of these goaltenders are going to be letting in the goals. I feel for Tristan Jarry. Hopefully he builds that confidence and can be back up from the AHL soon. Okay, you guys mentioned Seattle. Let me pull up the odds here for the Seattle Kraken. The Seattle Kraken facing the Montreal Canadiens. This line makes no sense to me. We got the Seattle Kraken. The juice is dropping on this at -166 as money starts coming in for the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal Canadiens have been winning. The Seattle Kraken have been losing, and we're getting Montreal at home at +138. I got them at +144 earlier in the morning, and I do think there's still value at +138. This is a young, scrappy team. Cole Caulfield has been absolutely flying out there on the ice. He's racking up those goals. Nick Suzuki as well. That top line has been so efficient out there for them. Total of 6.5 +112 to the over. I love the over in this game. I love the over in the first period as well. The Seattle Kraken have an ability to get up fast in games, but their defense lets them down. It's like their defense gets tired playing a full 60 minutes. So I do think those goals will come in this game. I'll take the plus money to the over. I just don't see it staying under the total unless one of these goalies has a shutout performance. So Joey Daccord here is expected for the Seattle Kraken and Sam Montague for the Montreal Canadiens. Both of these teams averaging right on 3 goals per game. What I like best about Montreal, they have a stronger power play here and a stronger PK. Their kill coming in at 90.3%, third best overall in the league. So if they end up in the box, they should be able to shut down the penalty, the power play here for the Seattle Kraken that's only converting at 15.4%. I do think special teams will lead the way here for Montreal in this one. Now, this is game 1 of a road trip here for the Seattle Kraken. They want to start it off strong. They've got 5 games on the road. They've lost their last 3. That last one was a loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. Not pretty at all. Only able to put up 1 goal. But I do think here on Montreal, with a defense that's allowing an average of 3.56 goals per game, Sam Montague looked fantastic to start the season. Hasn't been his same since those first couple of games. I think those goals are coming by both of these teams. So give me the over 1.5 in the first period. Both teams to score. I'm going to look at Montreal because of the value of the home dog here in this one at plus 140-ish, right? And the over in this game. Now, that total was 5.5 when I got it. I got it over 5.5 minus 140. I hated laying the juice, but I took it at what it was at quickly before we started the show because, well, I had to get my bet in quick and I couldn't just play with alt lines. I was rushing to get things done. Now at 6.5, I still like it to the over. I think this is a 4-3 style game. So still over 6.5, you guys are getting the value at plus 112. Cole Caulfield, I would look at him for his points again. And Nick Suzuki here for the Montreal Canadiens. You know, they're such playmakers. Caulfield already 8 goals on the season. Nick Suzuki with his 8 assists, 11 points. It's been beautiful out there. Okay. Let's move on to the next game, you guys. We got the Anaheim Ducks. You paid minus 160. Paid minus 160 for what on that one? We'll get to that game in just a minute. Firstly, we'll talk about the Ducks and the Islanders, and then we'll get to Philly and the Bruins. So the Ducks and the Islanders coming in here. Current lines on FanDuel. The Ducks, the underdog at plus 202. Minus 250 here for the New York Islanders, total 5.5. Now, the 5.5 is juiced to the over at minus 130. When we look at both of these teams, I do think Sorokin could get a shutout tonight, you guys. If you can get shutout props for Sorokin here, I definitely would be putting a little bit of money on it. If there's one guy to score for the Anaheim Ducks, it's Ryan Strome, if I can pronounce his name. He was a former Islanders first-round pick. So you look at those revenge factors, you look at those storylines. Yes, it didn't work last night, but I do think overall, you look at things like that, and it's a good angle. So Ryan Strome for the anytime goal, he's coming in at plus 115 currently on FanDuel for that anytime goal for the Anaheim Ducks. I just don't see anyone else really scoring here. This team has been struggling. They're only averaging 2.25 goals per game. This is game 3 on the road. They've lost their last 2. They only put up 2 goals on Saturday versus the Devils Sunday versus Devils, Saturday, 1 goal versus the Rangers. So if you can alt their team total under 1.5 instead of 2.5, I would. The under 2.5 is just too highly juiced at minus 156. I'd look at the under 1.5 for them. I think Sorokin, with the numbers that he has so far on the season and his numbers versus the Ducks, that shutout really is in play in this one. I'd look at his save shots. He has a 1.74 goals against average on the season and a 936 save percentage. But when we look at him versus the Ducks in his career, he's won all 4 matchups versus the Anaheim Ducks. He's had a 943 save percentage and a 1.45 goals against average with 1 shutout. So I think we're in for another shutout or a 1-goal game here for the Anaheim Ducks. I'm going to look at the Islanders to come out strong right out of the gate. Now, remember, they're off that loss versus the Florida Panthers. They came out so strong in the first period. They went out 3-1. And then what the heck happened to them? They allowed the Florida Panthers to come back, and what? I think the Panthers put 6 goals on the board. Beautiful comeback by the Panthers. Terrible loss by the New York Islanders, who just dominated that first period. So this is the first night of a back-to-back. They're sitting 6th in the Metro. They will take on the Columbus Blue Jackets tomorrow that are 5th in the Metro. If the Islanders were playing more consistently and had more wins under their belts, I would look at this as a look ahead. But with how poor they have been playing, with the amount of losses they've taken as of late, I can't look at it as a look ahead spot. They need all of the points. They need every win they can get. So because it is a battle of the Metro tomorrow. Columbus is 5th and the Islanders are 6th in the Metro. They need this win tonight. They can't let this one go. So the Islanders on the puck line in the first period, laying the half a goal, I do think is a really strong way to look in this game. I also think, because I think that Sorokin can get the shutout, alt puck line here for the New York Islanders, laying 2.5 goals minus plus 196 is worth your money, you guys. I think they get up, and I think they win this 3-0. So I might actually put in that exact score, 3-0, as well as a 3-1er. If the 3-1er hits, it's because the Ducks get that last minute goal. I don't know, you guys. It's gonna be a hard one for them to score in this one. Oh, the Kraken on the money line at minus 160, last leg of your parlay. It is a game that could go to overtime between Montreal and Seattle too. That's something else I would look at. And I do think when we look at the Islanders here in the Ducks, Bo Horvat has to step up. He has to look better than he has looked as of late. His anytime goal coming in at plus 145. I think it has value here, but that's the problem. Horvat and Matthew Barzal just haven't been those difference makers out there for the Islanders so far this season that we would have thought they would have. So we need more out of them. Let's look at the Phillies and Boston. I know you guys were asking about this one. The Philadelphia Flyers coming in at plus 136 on the road into Boston. Boston at minus 170. Now that total sitting at 6.5. 6.5 juice to actually the under at minus 122. When we look at goaltending here, Ergen expected for the Philadelphia Flyers and Swayman expected here for the Boston Bruins. Now, he's been solid versus the Flyers in his career. He's gone 4-6. Oh, he's won 4 of 6 meetings versus the Flyers. So Swayman in net here for Boston does give them the edge over Ergen. I don't like what we've seen out of him so far to start the season. 2-2-1 with a 3.51 goals against average and an 872 save percentage. So those numbers against what we know the Bruins can do offensively does scare me here for the Flyers in this one. The Flyers are struggling to create those high danger chances, so high danger shots on net. It seems like they're getting the easy ones in, but they're not creating those. So when we look at the Flyers, they have stepped up. They've been clicking better offensively as of late, but they lost that last one to Montreal at home. It was a 4-3 loss to Montreal. And I think if they can lose to Montreal, I know they can gather themselves back up. But I don't think that they can beat the Boston Bruins. I really do think with how much time both of these teams spend in the penalty box, they're the most penalized teams in the whole league. Bruins, of course, more so than the Flyers, but they average, both of these teams average 13 minutes in the box. 13.2 minutes. Actually, it's 13.2 for the Flyers and 13.1 for the Bruins. Sorry, Bruins fans. I didn't mean to throw you under the bus like that. But I do think this is one where the Bruins, if they can play discipline and stay out of the box, get the win. I do think offensively, they have to start clicking better on that power play. That power play hasn't been executing, only converting at 15.8% of the time, and their kill isn't the strongest either. So I understand why people would be liking the Flyers here, because that power play is 23.5% and their PK is 85.7%. But the Bruins, if out of the box, should be able to have the upper hand in this one. I'm going to look for the Bruins to come out strong in that first period. I'm going to lay the puck line in the first period, laying a half a goal. That's coming in at plus 136. I think they get up early and they never look back in this game. They just keep firing. When we look at the Bruins versus the Phillies over the course of history, while the Phillies won that last matchup, the Bruins won the 7 prior, and they also sit with a record of 14-4-2 versus the Philadelphia Flyers. So they have dominated this matchup. I'm going to look at a couple of players here for those goals for the Boston Bruins. Pasternak. We can't deny Pasta. When we start looking at Pasta with his numbers versus the Phillies, it's even more so reason to bet on them. Brad Marchand and Pasternak, phenomenal in their careers versus the Phillies. These are the two that you want to look at their points tonight. You want to parlay their points together. You want to look at those goal scorers. Pasta for the goal coming in at -110. Why do we have to lay so much juice? We have to lay so much juice because the books are expecting Pasta to get on the scoreboard as well. But I think here, because I'm looking at Urshan and I'm looking at his inability to keep the puck out of the back of the net, and here as well, we still have a Flyers team that's allowing 28.4 shots on his goal per night. So I'm going to take Pasta for 2+ points in this game. That's coming in at +190. And if I think he can get the 2 points, I'm going to sprinkle on the 2+ goals. I do think he could get 2 goals in this game tonight. That's coming in at +550. Could he get the hat trick? He definitely could get the hat trick. It's not out of question tonight. If I'm taking 1+, I'm taking 2+. I am definitely putting the other third of the unit on 3+ for that hat trick for Pasta. Now, if Pasta comes out and isn't able to get on the board at all, and he's only able to get those points, the 2+ points at +190 would be the way to go, because then it's Brad getting those goals tonight. Brad Marchand coming in at +260 for a goal, 2+ points for him at +310. I would rather take his points 2+ at +310 than I would taking his 2+ goals. So the goal or the points tonight for Brad. When we look at Brad Marchand, he's played 51 games against the Phillies, 49 points in those 51 games, 18 goals and 31 assists. That's why I lean to those points over the goals tonight. And then Pasta has faced the Phillies 31 times, 43 points in 31 games, you guys, 43 points. The hat trick. Come on, we got to get the hat trick tonight. We got to get those points on the board. 26 goals, 17 assists. It's going to be a great night for those two combining out there. Yeah, let's get the Bruins in the first period on that puck line to go up nice and fast. Now, if you're looking at the Flyers, Owen Tippett is my go-to. I do think Owen Tippett should have a strong night, but I don't want to take anything for the Flyers. I'm just going to look at the Bruins in that one. Let's talk about the St. Louis Blues versus the Ottawa Senators. That's who they're playing. Wow, this is a good brain fart there, you guys. The Ottawa Senators, the favorite at home, -164. The St. Louis Blues, a scrappy team. I love the additions they made this season, and this team is able to focus so solidly on defense, but they've also been able to get those turnovers and convert into goals. They're coming at +136. You guys know I love a dog. Road dog here, though. Let's see. We've got a total of 6.5, -130 to the under. I'm looking at this one, and I got to go with the road dog. Give me the plus money with the St. Louis Blues. Give me their team total over as well. It's juicy at -136, but I do see them scoring. Allmark hasn't been as solid as we would like to see him straight out of the gate here for Ottawa. I expected a lot more out of Allmark. It's not even like he's not getting as much protection as he did with Boston. He's still, the Ottawa Senators only allowing 29.9 shots on goal per game. He's just struggled to start here. And when we look at him versus the Blues, he's played 6 games versus them, going 3-2-0 with a 2.26 goals against average and a .922 save percentage. So a strong save percentage, but those goals still do come in versus Binghamton. Binghamton in here for the St. Louis Blues, 2-4 on the season with a 2.87 goals against average. When we look at him versus the Ottawa Senators in his career, he's got great numbers. 3-1 with a 2.01 goals against average and a .935 save percentage. I'm going to have faith in Binghamton here on the road. The St. Louis Blues have cash for us. We were able to get them, I believe it was versus the Vancouver Canucks, last week as the underdog. Nope, it was not. I lied. It was versus the Toronto Maple Leafs when Joseph Woll was in net. The St. Louis Blues were able to cash us that plus money on the road as the dog. And I do think this is another opportunity for them to do so as well. This is the first game home as well for the Ottawa Senators off that road trip, which is a nice fade spot for these teams. And yes, they lost those last two on the road. The Avs, they lost 5-4 on Sunday, and Friday they lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. So I was kind of disappointed with the loss versus the Avs. I did think that they would be able to get things done on Sunday. They're sitting 8th in the Atlantic. Now, I do think this game, though, has the possibility, because of how strong the forward group is, how elite the power play is here for the Ottawa Senators. This one has the ability to go to OT. The overtime bet coming in at plus 360. We look at this power play. It's converting 40% of the time here for the Ottawa Senators. The kills only at 75% for the Blues. And while they're strong defensively, and they're strong in net, that kind of power play coming at you is a hard one here for Binghamton. So I will take this to overtime at plus 360. I just think at the end of the day, the Blues can get it done. They swept the series last year versus the Sens, winning both of those games. Now, a couple of storylines to look at here. Actually, there's a bunch of storylines to look at here. So on the St. Louis Blues, you have Matthew Joseph. He's going to be playing against his former team for the first time since they traded him away in the summer. So we will see Matthew Joseph here of the Blues be impactful in this game. You can look at him for that anytime goal. It's plus 550. I love the angles of players versus their former team. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on that. I do think lots of players on the Blues really have stepped up. I like what Jake Neighbors has brought to the board. His anytime goal coming in at plus 275 currently on FanDuel. His in front of net presence is just second to none. He's able to not get those goaltender interference calls, but play so tight to the goaltender and block his view and be able to hit that puck in. So I love what he's been able to do. And we know there's injuries here still for the St. Louis Blues, but we're seeing injuries for the Ottawa Senators rack up as well. Brady Tkachuk is leading this team with 11 points. He's been nice and strong out there for them. When we look at Brady Tkachuk, the St. Louis Blues are the team he grew up watching, which is so cool to think. Now, David Perrin's still on the Ottawa Senators here. He did play with the St. Louis Blues, and when he played with the St. Louis Blues, he played alongside Brady Tkachuk's dad, Keith Tkachuk. So you look at all these storylines and all of these things that are going on. It's hard to believe that David Perrin's still in the league and he played with the dad of Brady Tkachuk. So crazy storylines, you guys. It should be an interesting game. Again, I really do think it has the advantage or the ability to go to overtime. Let's look at the next game here. Hey, Kelly, good to see you here today. Draisaitl, that birthday goal. Yeah, you guys always stay tuned to my ex at Jo Madden Sports for those last minute goal scorers and that kind of thing for new information I found out. Yeah, I didn't realize when we did the show that morning, it was Leon Draisaitl's birthday. And then, of course, he comes out and gets a goal. He didn't get it in the first period, which I was kind of bummed by because I had a first period goal, but he was able to get it in the second. He's 29 now. I think Connor McDavid's 27, and hopefully Connor McDavid will be back soon for the Oilers. Let's look at the New York Rangers and the Washington Capitals. This should be a good matchup, you guys. The New York Rangers, we can't even deny how good this team is. Even if you want to talk smack about them, it's pretty hard for any other fan to say anything bad about the Rangers because they are clicking on all fronts right now. They're coming in at minus 152. They're on the road, taking on the Washington Capitals. Caps are coming in at plus 126. Total 5.5. Juice to the over at minus 138. If you're brave enough to take this one under, it's coming in at plus 112. We have seen a bit of line movements. There was sixes out there before. Igor Shesterkin expected in net for the New York Rangers and Washington Capitals. Charlie Lindgren expected. Now, Charlie Lindgren versus the Rangers in his career has been strong. We got to look at a revenge factor here as well. But let's look firstly at Charlie Lindgren's numbers versus the Rangers. He's gone 1-0 in 3 games versus them with a 1.3 .35 goals against average. It's insane numbers he's been able to put up versus the Rangers, a save percentage of .955. So he stands on his head versus the Rangers, but that's going to be hard tonight. You look at the depth of this forward group here for the New York Rangers, and they are incredibly hard to stop. They continue to win those faceoffs. They dominate time of possession out there, and they control the puck in all of those zones. This is a team that's averaging 4.25 goals per game, 33.4 shots on goal, and their power play converting at 25%. Their kill at 80%, only allowing 2 goals per game on 30 shots. So this is the team on all fronts. They could win the Stanley Cup this season. Igor Shesterkin versus the Capitals in his career, not as good as Charlie Lindgren. So he's 8-4 in 12 games with a 2.59. So we're going from a 1.35 here from Charlie Lindgren to a 2.59 for Igor Shesterkin and a .916 save percentage. It's going to be a goaltending duel here between these two, and which goaltender has the better night will give you your winner in this one. Offensively, the Rangers have the edge. Defensively, the Rangers have the edge. In net tonight, I really do think Charlie Lindgren has the edge for the Washington Capitals. So which team is going to come out on top? You guys know I love a home dog, and I'm always willing to sprinkle on a home dog. At plus 126, it has value, but it's absolutely terrifying. Like, not even a little bit scary to take them. Battle of the Metro, too. The Rangers want to get this win. So I'm going to put a little bit on that for the Caps to get the win. I'm going to look at Panarin of the Rangers for his anytime goal. He's been so phenomenally strong. Plus 140 for the anytime goal. He's off to such a great start this season, you guys. 6 goals, 9 assists, and a total of 15 points. Yeah, 9 plus 6, 15. I know that from Crib, you guys. If you ever play Crib, you always know 9 plus 6 is 15 right off the top of your head. When we look here at the Washington Capitals, and everyone should know 9 plus 6 is 15. I don't know why I'm saying that. Ovi coming in here for an anytime goal at plus 175. We need to see Ovechkin make records this year, you guys. I so want to see him catch Wayne Gretzky. He needs to really get going here because only 2 goals and 3 assists so far on the season. It's going to be a hard battle for him to reach Gretzky. He scored twice in his career versus Igor, so we have that success prior. Now, Dylan Strome here, 3 goals and 6 assists. Tom Wilson has 5 goals and 1 assist, and John Carlson, 2 goals and 4 assists. So those are your playmakers out there for the Capitals. I do think if the Capitals can win this, it's because this is a 2-1 grind them out game. If the Rangers start blanketing Charlie Lindgren with shots and hitting the back of his net, they are going to blow out this total and win this, cover extended puck lines, and just show us why you shouldn't bet against New York Rangers. So this is a tough one, you guys. Do what it with you want. I'll sprinkle on the Caps at home. I'll take Panarin for the goal, and I'll take Ovi for the goal. It's going to be a hard one. Okay. Yeah, New York is up in this series as well. So this is the first meeting since, and I love that revenge angle here, the first meeting for the Washington Capitals since the Rangers eliminated them from the playoffs last season, with the Rangers getting the sweep. So we know how hard the Washington Capitals had to battle to get into the playoffs last season. It was an immense push at the end, and I still can't believe they were able to get in, only to get in and to be completely swept. So you got to look at that. You got to look at that revenge angle, how long they've had this circled on their card. They lost that last game to the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-0 on Saturday. They're at Montreal on Thursday. We're seeing a Rangers team that they got a win over the Ducks. It wasn't a pretty one. It was 2-1. Should have put up more goals. Maybe the under is just the way to go in this one. Okay, let's look at the last game, you guys. We are flying today. Thanks to everyone who has joined me this whole time on Puck with Jo on SportsGrid TV. if you can do me a favor, hit the like, hit the retweet button, keep this show going each and every single day. So the LA Kings taking on the San Jose Sharks. I am so happy for anyone who tailed me yesterday on the San Jose Sharks to be able to get the win. Now, anyone crazy enough to take the Sharks with me again today, straight up on the money line at plus 225. You can take them on the puck line plus 1.5 at minus 118. I am splitting my bets between the two. Half a unit on the Sharks plus 1.5 at minus 118. The other half on the Sharks straight up at home on the money line to get another win, plus 225. This total sitting at 5.5, juice to that over at minus 140. Darcy Kemper expected for the LA Kings. And my problem with the Kings here is this is the first night of a back-to-back. And who do they have on deck? The best team in the Pacific and the Vegas Golden Knights is on deck tomorrow for the LA Kings. The LA Kings just beat the Sharks on the 24th. It's only the 29th. They beat them 3-2. The Sharks were able to cover the puck line, cash us that puck line in the last game. I do think this is another tight one that the Sharks, with momentum off that win last night versus Utah. Yeah, 5-4 versus Utah last night, have every ability. Now they got down and it looked absolutely terrible for the Sharks in that one. They were able to come back. When we look at who got those points last night on the board, like I said, if you took that parlay, it was the 1 point parlay at plus 168 yesterday. That cash, that was Tyler Toffoli, Granlund, and Eklund for a point each at plus 168. It cashed in nicely. Between all three of those players, 11 points on the board last night. We had Toffoli for a goal and 3 assists. We had Granlund for 2 goals and 2 assists. Eklund for a goal and 2 assists. It was absolutely beautiful. It was mayhem out there for Utah. They couldn't stop the Sharks once the Sharks got going. And I think this could be the prime opportunity to take them again. Yes, they're on the second night of a back-to-back, but this team will have a spark with that momentum. It's so brutal to lose that many games in a row. They can't take a loss the night after they were able to get the win. So I'm crazy. You guys know that. I'm crazy. I love a dog. I love a home dog. This will be my home dog of the night while I'm taking the cap. There's a lot of home dogs that I'm taking. You guys know I'm always looking to ride with the dogs, but I think the Sharks can get it done. Vanacek expected in goal for them. It's the look ahead spot for the Kings. So it's more of a fade of the Kings here in this one. And then, then the Sharks. I'm crazy about everything. Crazy about the dogs. I think it's a dog night too. Let's make some money. Yeah, the Kings seem to give these games away. If you want to look at the Kings in the first period, seem to be money. We saw the Sharks go down yesterday and battle back. Montreal's another team that loves to battle back. Again, if one team in all of these games goes down or goes up 3-0, and you're looking to live bet coming back on that dog, plus the 2.5 is such a solid way to go, you guys. We saw the Jets be able to cover that 2.5 when they went down to the Leafs yesterday. So kind of hedging your bet if you were riding with that favorite on those puck lines in situations like that, because normally they don't get blown out that much. But you guys, all the best in all of your bets. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Tried to respond to everyone's messages that were coming up on X and YouTube. I appreciate you guys for the interaction here. If you got questions for me, make sure you come every day, drop those questions, ask me whatever you want in regards to hockey. But you guys, I will be back tomorrow, noon Eastern. Gonna have some more fun. Also, catch me on Game Time Decisions later today. That's my time. 6:14 Eastern. I'll be on Game Time Decisions with Kevin Walsh. So, you guys, all the best in all of your bets. I gotta go, Adam. We are done for the day, you guys. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice tonight. Hopefully, it's hot. Bye, guys. Hit some anytime goal.